What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. Hope you all enjoy the Super Bowl. Hopefully you're not not feeling too sick today. By the way, let me put a disclaimer out there. Today should be National Hangover Day. Either way, I was gonna do a show today, whether it was a holiday or not. So you guys would hear me no matter what. But today should be National Hangover Day. Today should be a holiday, national holiday. I just want to put that out there. Anyway, let's move on. Sorry, last week I didn't do too many shows. Was having some technical problems with some behind the scenes stuff, but I figured it all out, so we're all good with that. But today's gonna be a big show, so let's jump right in. Yu Darvish got a 6-year extension with $108 million from the Padres, which I like the move. Yu Darvish is a really good pitcher. He's probably underrated. I would say he's probably a top 15 at least starting pitcher in baseball, at the very least, if not maybe even top 10. The problem is he's 36 years old and we got a 6-year deal. You're paying him until he's 42 years old. I think that's I'm not giving him 6 years. You want to give him like a 2 or 3 year deal just to make sure, he hopefully finishes his career, at least, his best years of it that he has left in him. As San Diego Padres, but 6 years, the back half doesn't look too pretty. The money I had zero issues with. Like I said, Yu Darvish is a great pitcher. He's a frontline starter in this league, for sure. He's San Diego's number 2 guy because San Diego's got Joe Musgrove, who's turned into one of the league's best stars over the last couple of years. He'd be an ace on probably a lot of teams, Yu Darvish. Like I said, very underrated. 6-year thing is a little bit too much, but I do like the money, and they lock him down. So they're going to try to extend Manny Machado, who is expected to opt out after the season, and he'll be one of the top free agents on the market, of course. So they're going to try to give him a long-term deal. Of course, they originally signed him for 10 years and $300 million, but he's got that opt-out, and he thinks, he'll still be, towards the end of he still have some prime years left, and he's still a great player, so I wouldn't be surprised if he opts out and maybe takes, probably can get not as long, but still a pretty longer-term deal and possibly get a higher AAV. Bo Bichette got an extension in arbitration, got 3 years, $3.6 million, so that basically buys out the rest of his arbitration years, I would think. So he's not going anywhere. Darzon Alex Reyes got 1 year. He's guaranteed $1.1 million. He's got a $3 million team option for 2024. It's incentive laden because he's a guy who 2 years ago was an all-star, was one of the best closers in baseball for the Cardinals. Last year, a ton of injuries. Was a guy who was a top starting pitching prospect for the Cardinals. Ton of injury. Had Tommy John a few years back. Never worked out as a starter. Moved him to the bullpen, and at first he found some success. He was an all-star 2 years ago. Last year, though, struggled. Had some more injuries. Cardinals didn't bring him back, but the Dodgers scoop him up. He could get up to $10 million if he reaches certain things. So probably it's one of those like no risk, high reward kind of things. Dodgers also picked up David Peralta, 1 year's $6.5 million. He's been with the Diamondbacks most of his career, but last year he finishes the year with the Rays last year. Older now, not a great hitter anymore, but still hit a little bit, and he's a very good outfielder. Maybe a left fielder, but can play all 3 spots. He decent speed, good veteran leader. Tigers add him for some depth. Arizona signed Andrew Chafin. 1 year, $6.5 is a good signing. Chafin started his career in Arizona, so he returns to where it all started. Was one of the best left-handed relievers in the market, and there's a bunch of them left. He goes back to Arizona on a 1-year deal. Marlins make a pretty big trade. They trade the 4th overall pick from a year ago, J.J. Bleday, to Oakland for A.J. Pook. This is an interesting trade. Bleday, who really struggled last year, he played like 50 or 60 games from mine. He had like 160, was really, really bad, to be honest, but he's still extremely young. So Oakland obviously is completely restarting their franchise, basically. They trade Pook, who was once one of the best starting pitching prospects in baseball. A lot of injuries, never really worked out. Oakland moved to the bullpen permanently last year, and he pitched very well. Was arguably their best reliever last year. And Miami adds another piece to their bullpen, which is looking like it's going to be very strong. So, interesting move. I honestly don't hate it for either end. Oakland, gets possibly a future All-Star. If Bleday reaches his full potential, he's a future All-Star for sure. And he's still extremely young. Pook may or may not had a future with the franchise, and now the Marlins They move, but they have a lot of outfielders in Miami, so that helps kind of unclog the logjam. And they pick up a very quality reliever that can help them right now. And Pook's still very young and close controlled, which of course Miami loves. So I thought that was a pretty fair trade. Both ends. Houston Nationals extend Christian Javier, 5 years, $64 million. He's very underrated. Christian Javier. He's been quietly one of the more productive stars in baseball the last few years. He'll definitely be in the Astros rotation full time this year. So Astros locked him up with a very good contract. Obviously, they brought in Dana, whatever his name is, to be from the Braves to be their new GM. And of course, Atlanta's always signing these super young guys to long-term deals for team-friendly contract, which is why they've been able to build what they've been able to build. And he's bringing that along to Houston. Cubs slot Michael Fulmer to a one-year deal. We don't know the term. I assume it's going to be a one-year deal. He's a guy who was another failed starting pitcher who became a reliever. He was a top prospect with the Mets. Obviously, he went to Detroit. Had one great year as a star. Then had a lot of injuries. Ended up moving him to the bullpen, and he's turned into a real solid bullpen guy. He goes to the Cubs. Comes with him to the bullpen. There's no more actual free agency news, but Derek Jeter this year is going to be joining Fox as an analyst. I think which I'm very excited about. Not he doesn't know what it's like to be in front of the camera. He was the star player for the New York Yankees for 20 years. And obviously he did his documentary a bunch of months back. And now he's joining Fox. He reunited with A-Rod. Of course, when they first came up, they were friends, and then they kind of had their issues, which is, their issues, obviously. By the way, guys, Justin, who everyone knows, has been on my show all the time. He co-hosts with me on Friday. He's right out to the podcast with his big window on the left here. So, hi, Justin. I don't know if he's coming in here or not. Probably not, but he just walked by. I just want to point that out. But yeah, Jeter's joining Fox. So, interesting with him and A-Rod reuniting when Jeter first came up. And then they brought A-Rod in. They were friends. Then he kind of realized they was a phony, and they had their issues. But I think they put that behind them. Obviously, he owns the Marlins. It's still his team. But he's not the CEO anymore. He stepped down a little over a year ago. So now he's trying to do other things. Obviously, now he's much more out there on social media. He did his documentary. Now he's joining Fox as an analyst. Knows baseball very well. So he's gonna join there. This news I'm not too happy about. Ghost Runner staying in play in the regular season. Starts on second extra innings. I don't get that. I think it's stupid. I think it's one of the reasons Rob Manfred is ruining baseball, but in the regular season, it's going to stay. I think I could deal with it if they put it in for the 12th inning, maybe to so you don't have those 15, 16 inning games, and guys are using their entire bullpen, and now you got starting pitchers, they're throwing them out there late, and now they're hurting their arms. You're throwing the right fielder in there because you got nobody else. But starting in the 10th inning, I think it's stupid. I don't like it. But at the very least, in the postseason, they will have that. They will not have that. By the way, the position players pitching, it's become way too stale, and MLB is cracking down on it. They said they can only pitch if the winning team can use a position player if they are up by at least 10 runs in the 9th inning. The team that is losing can use a position player to pitch if they are down by 8 runs at any time, or if you're getting those extra innings, no matter what. Because obviously, you never know if it's 18th inning and you're out of guys, you got to throw somebody out there. Tony La Russa, when he in his prime would throw a position player out there in the 7th inning or 18th inning. He didn't want to use a starter. That's how a starter gets hurt. They're not supposed to pitch for another 2 days. Now on short rest, they go out there, throw a couple innings that can mess up their arm. So I think this is the right move. About 10 years ago, it used to never happen whenever you heard, position player is pitching. It was oh my, must see TV. Everyone would flip the channel, even if it was 12-1 in the 8th inning. It would just be so funny. But now it happens every week. Okay, it's just stupid. They're lobbing the ball up there, 50 miles an hour. It's 12-0. Nobody cares. The game's over, and it's just not fun. So yeah, I agree with that. It's very stupid. It's stupid. That's Justin, everybody. He's helped. He waltzed into the studio to help me in the back. I mean, Alonso's a pretty big guy, so maybe he can get some oomph on it, but I don't know. Once in a while, I'm fine with it, but now it's happening every week. It's like, oh yeah, this. Unfortunately, Justin, I do not think that is the case. I'm sorry for the bad news. Don't think he is. Don't think he is. But now we got some exciting stuff. The World Baseball Classic. By the way, I don't like the World Baseball Classic. Guys that get hurt all the time, and the match are sending a bunch of players. Every team sends a bunch of players, and it's just opportunity for them to get hurt. I don't get it. It's like hockey. They do the Olympics in the middle of the season. They haven't done the last couple of years. I think one that they didn't do it was like Gary Bettman was like, I'm not sending players in the middle of the season, taking 3 weeks off in the middle of the season. It's so stupid. And then last time there was COVID. They had the COVID drive, so they couldn't. But so hopefully that comes permanent. MLB like why is the World Baseball Classic? You know, it's obviously every 4 years. Why does it have to be right like when spring training starts? You can't make it after the season. Come on. I mean, guys can still get hurt that way, but at least make it after the season. Make it in like, all right, so the World Series ends, you know, usually late October or early November. So have it be in like starting in the last week in November. It'll be over by January. You know, I don't know. So it's only once every 4 years. You know, that's kind of, you know, every 4 years the offseason could get a little hectic because the free agency does start like, you know, late November or early December. I mean, I'm not against, you know having a World Baseball Classic. You push free agency back. Let's say it ends. You push free agency to like, you know, early January, and you start the season in like May, and instead you play 130 games instead of 162. I'm not against that. I'm not, I can't do that. But you gotta remember, Rob Manfred is running baseball. If anybody else was running baseball, hell, if I was running baseball, I would do a better job. Anyway, I'm gonna go over the rosters for each team for the World Baseball Classic. Let's start off with the United States of America. Justin, there's pretty much there's a lot of them. You got the DR, which their lineup is like scary. You got DR, Venezuela. I'll tell you right now. You got, who else you got? You got Canada's in it. You got Mexico. You have Colombia. You have Great Britain. I'm not gonna lie. I did not know Great Britain played baseball. Canada's a little bit. Canada's not good, but Great Britain. I mean, it's gonna be USA or DR. I hope the USA win, but DR's lineup, I'm gonna go over it very, very shortly. Their lineup is insane. Like, if that lineup played MLB, they would probably be the league's best lineup. Like, their lineup is insane. Then who else we got? We got the DR. We have Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is very good. Venezuela, I mentioned, they're very good. They got another low lineup. Israel, who's not that good, but probably better than Great Britain, I guess. Who else we got? Nicaragua. I did not know they played. Maybe I did not. Again, I did not know they played baseball. Good for them. And that's it. Wow, Nicaragua. Wait a minute. Is there other teams? All right. Japan, I get. Japan actually has a couple of good players. Like, I believe Ohtani is Japanese. I believe. So yeah, just Ohtani alone. I mean, yeah, there's not too much different. There's a couple of guys. I mean, obviously they don't have Ichiro. I wonder if Ichiro's playing. I don't know. I'll find that out in a minute. We also have Cuba, Cuba is very good, and South Korea. They're like decent, middle of the road. They can't compete with like probably USA and the DR, but they're pretty good. So let's start with the United States, since I assume 98% of people watching this show are from the U.S. If there's anybody from another country watching this, hi from another country. Bonjour. I don't speak any other language, so hi. I'm gonna wave, so make sure if you can understand what I'm saying. So let's go with the USA. They're pretty stacked this year. They're pretty stacked. There's a bunch of top players who a lot of times don't play, but this year pretty much everyone's going out there. Like your catchers are JT Realmuto and Will Smith, two top 5 guys in baseball. You have P. Alonso and Goldschmidt going there. You have Jeff McNeil, who's going to be there. You have Arenado, Bobby Witt's a young and up-and-comer, Tim Anderson, Trey Turner. You have Mookie Betts and Mike Trout, Kyle Tucker, Cedric Mullins, Schwarber's in it. On the pitching side of things, the USA's lineup is low. Their pitching side thing isn't as strong. The rotation right now is looking like Nestor Cortez, who's very good. Yeah, you have Kershaw. If I'm the Dodgers, I would not want Kershaw going there. If he can't stay healthy, that's a little worrying. If he's healthy, obviously he's a great pitcher. They have Miles Michaelis, he's good. Wainwright is still good. Lance Lynn, we all know what you're getting from him. Bryce Singer's okay. Merrill Kelly's, So their pitching actually isn't the greatest. Their bullpen is much better. Like Jason Adams, an up-and-comer. Daniel Barr had a really good year last year. David Bednar is good. Kendall Graveman's good. And Avino's very good. You have Ryan Presley, Brooks Raley, and Devin Williamson. Their bullpen's actually really good, but their rotation for U.S. actually isn't that great. That worries me. Ooh. The lineup is fantastic, though. They have a fantastic lineup. All right. Let's talk about Canada. So Canada, they don't have a ton of guys. They do have Freddie Freeman, who obviously is one of the league's best players. Outside of him, there's nothing much here. I'm not going to go over the guys for each team that are not in MLB. One, for some reason, I can't pronounce their name. Like, I'm not even going to try to pronounce some of the guys from Nicaragua. Like, I'm not even going to try that. But, there's some reason I don't even know. Bo Naylor is like a second or third string catcher for the Guardians. Abraham Toro's not that great. He's a bench player. They do have Tiger O'Neill, who's pretty good. Had down here last year. There's also a bunch of no-names on here. Pitching-wise, Nick Pivetta is okay. Kel Quantrill was very good. He had a nice year last year. There's some guy named Indigo Diaz. His name is Indigo. I don't know what these Canadians fans. I don't want to be too harsh on them because they are very nice people in Canada. But Indigo, that's an interesting name. John Axford is an ex-pro. He's retired. He's pitching in. He was a solid reliever in his day. That's really about it. All right, now I'm gonna jump up. Let's look at some of these other teams because now some of these other teams are like Nicaragua, who I didn't even know played baseball. All right. Let's talk about the Netherlands. They don't really have much. They do have Alexander Bogaerts. Ooh. Bogart's from the Netherlands. Interesting. So they have Alexander Bogaerts. He's very good. Scopes kind of wash. Chadwick Trump is a third string catcher. He's their catcher. Richie Palacios is like a AAA guy. They have some ex-pros. Didi Gregorius is not currently in the league. He's kind of washed, but he's like on that team is one of their best player, but isn't saying a whole lot. Roger Bernardino is next outfielder. He's in it. There's not a single pitcher on their team that currently is in the MLB. Jair Jurgen, who used to be on the Braves when he first came up, was really good, but had a lot of injuries. Covered his career. He's in there. That's something I don't know anybody else. Who else we got? Cuba, who's not as good as they once were with, Yoenis Cespedes isn't there anymore. Yoel Moncada's very good. Luis Roberts really good. Andy Ibanez is a bench guy. Oh, Yoenis Cespedes is playing. Interesting. So Yoenis Cespedes is playing. Hopefully there's no bores in the World Baseball Classic. If there is, I don't think Cespedes is gonna be able to contribute. But if there's no bores, maybe, I don't know. We'll see. My Mets fans probably know what I'm talking about, and I'm not gonna. I don't actually know where I'm not really sure where it's based. I'm not sure if Justin, if you want to look that up for me and then feed that to me. What? Okay. All right, so I'm not sure if you guys can hear me. I'm not sure for I gotta work on some behind the scenes stuff to see if we can hear when people help me out in the back. But Justin was telling me how I have an issue with people in the World Baseball Classic getting hurt. He said, "Why don't they have Carlos Correa do it?" Correa is actually not. He decided not to go, probably because he knows if he goes, his leg is gonna fall off, and his career will be over. I just said, look at Alex Smith, so he was fine. I mean, yeah. Also, Alex Smith, his leg before the injury was fine. Correa, his leg is just. You might as well just. I don't know if it's even gonna last the rest of his life. And by the way, I'm not gonna try to pronounce all the pitchers from Cuba. I cannot pronounce a single one. I'm not even gonna try that. We have Italy. Yeah, all right. Italians, baseball, I don't know. David Fletcher is like okay. Nicky Lopez is a great shortstop, but not a good hitter. Obviously, you have Vinny Pasquantino, who was a rookie of Kansas last year, very, very talented. You have him. Obviously, you have, Ben. You have the typical Italian names: Ben DeLuzio, John Valenti, Dominic Miraglio, You got Matt Festa's a reliever. He's a pretty good reliever. Andre Palante is a good pitcher. Solid swing man. You have him. Outside of that, Italy's Matt Harvey is pitching for Italy. Okay. Good for him. He's not on a team right now. I wonder why, but he's not on a team right now. Let's see who else we got here. We have Panama. They don't have a ton of talent either. Christian Betancourt's a catcher, first baseman, not very good. Ivan Herrera is a top catching prospect, so we'll see what happens. Ruben Tejada is playing, ex-Mets shortstop, the guy who Chase Utley took out in the World Series. He was always a great shortstop, never a great hitter. You have him. All right, so he's pretty good. Okay, thank you, Justin. The World Baseball Classic starts March 7th. It's in Tokyo. It is in Arizona, and and then in Taiwan and in Miami. Okay, so the pitchers for Penn are actually not that bad. Jimmy Barr, a young guy for the Angels, is pretty good. Paul Espino's okay. Just Lawrence is okay. All right, so not as good as I thought, but compared to for a team that is not known for being good at baseball, not horrendous. Okay. I find this funny that there's a guy named Matt Hardy pitching for them. I assume he's not the wrestler. That would be very funny. And just say it's Jeff Hardy. Yeah, he's at a rehab. So there's another game called Chinese Taipei. These names, I'm not even gonna try. All right, I'm gonna try Yu Chang. I think it was the guy. Who's the guy who used to pitch? What was his name? The guy who got hurt running the bases as a pitcher. I don't even remember. I'm not even going to try to pronounce these guys' names. Yeah, all right. China's not going to do that well. Just go with that. Let's just say that. And Japan actually has there's a bunch of guys who are actually just like international guys, but they have a couple of studs. They have Otani, who obviously is going to have to carry them. You also have Matasaka Yoshida, who just signed with Boston's a Japanese superstar. You have Lars Nootbaar, pretty good for the Cardinals. Seiya Suzuki, who injuries last year, but if he can ever get together with the Cubs, he's a very, very talented guy. You have Yu Darvish pitching. I'm sure Otani will pitch as well. I wouldn't sleep on Japan because there's a bunch of guys they obviously haven't heard of, but every year Japan has superstars that jump to MLB. So maybe a few guys that could probably be different things in MLB, but they're just choosing to stay in Japan for now. So maybe a few guys who might be as good as some MLB guys, so they're not as bad as their roster looks. South Korea has Tommy Edman, who's a good shortstop. And Sun Kim, so they got a good middle infield. Outside of that, not much. You have Australia. So we got Australians. Okay. I don't know any of these guys. Can't say I know any of these Australians that are on this list. No, I don't. All right, so Australia is kind of screwed. Okay, that's too bad. You got the Czech Republic. They don't got anybody. Who? I could not tell you one guy on Australia. All right. I mean, you got Matthew Beattie. Justin just told me that Matthew Beattie, some guy in Australia, is Australian for Joe Musgrove. If that's true, Australia might win like that one game he pitches. Then you have China, who doesn't have a ton of MLB talent, or by a ton, they have literally no MLB talent at all. All right, now let's get into the nitty gritty of this. Let's jump to, let's see, who should we do next? Let's do Mexico. They're pretty good. They have Alejandro Kirk, who's one of the league's best catchers, as well as Olsen Barnes, a good defender. They have Robbie Tellez, who's a 30-homer threat at first base. Isaac Paredes, Alvin Trejo, Jonathan Aranda are like bench-level MLB players. Luis Arias is pretty good. Ramon Arias is pretty good. They have a bunch of young guys. Randy Rosarena is very good. Jaron Duran, who hasn't worked out so far for both, but he's talented. Alec Thomas could be a Rookie of the Year candidate. Alex Verdugo is very good. Pitching-wise, they have Julio Urias, who's great. Taijuan Walker's very good. Jose Urquidy's very good. Patrick Sandoval's good. In the bullpen, Giovanni Gallegos is really good. Jojo Romero's okay. Oliver Perez is an MLB guy who played for over 20 years with the Mets at one point. He turned into a regular reliever in MLB. He's retired, but he's actually in. So Mexico's pretty good. Colombia is okay. They have Jorge Alfaro catching. He's not that good. They have Gio Urshela. He's good. Third baseman. Who else they got? Oscar Mercado's been a failed prospect, but at one point he was good. Dalvin Solano was out of the league. He was a decent MLBer at one point. Pitching, you have Jose Quintana, who's pretty good. Julio Teheran, we didn't know he was still in the league. He's there. Neville Crispin's a pretty good pitcher for the Padres. Their bullpen doesn't have any MLBers, though. So, then Great Britain. Interesting. You have Lucius Fox, who's a career minor leaguer. You have him. That's really all they got. Ian DeBlotto, like a death reliever on the Reds. He's there. Vance Worley. Interesting. Vance Worley was a guy who wasn't that good at MLB, but he was at one point a top prospect. He's pitching for Colombia. Interesting. And now the DR. Okay, let's talk about this. DR's lineup is not fair. You have Gary Sanders isn't that good. He's not MLB right now, but he probably deserves to be on a roster. You have Vlad Jr., Wander Franco, you got Jeremy Pena, Machado, Juan Soto, Cato Marte, Eloy Jimenez, Julio, Rafael Devers, Gene Segura's pretty good. Robinson Cano is in it, who's cooked, but without the steroids, he's probably a Hall of Famer. And then pitching-wise, they're not bad either. You got Alcantara's one with Cy Young. Christian Javier is very good. Johnny Cuello's pretty good. Rosny Contreras is not okay. And in the bullpen, you have Brian Abreu, Diego Castillo, Rafael Montero, Hector Neris, Gregory Soto, Genesis Cabrera. DR is definitely the toughest competition for the United States. It's, I think, one of those two teams win. I'm hoping the U.S., obviously, but DR, because the U.S. has a loaded lineup, but their bullpen's really good, but their rotation's a little shaky. The DR has a stacked lineup, maybe even more stacked than the U.S., a very good bullpen and a very good rotation, so... On paper, DR might be a little bit better. U.S. though is more experienced, so we'll see what happens there. Puerto Rico's also really good. Christian Vasquez is your starting catcher. Maldonado is a great defender behind him. You have Javi Baez, who struggled last year, but Vasquez has been really good. You have Lindor, who's a great player. Enrique Hernandez is pretty good. You got... It's funny, they have a guy named Edwin Diaz in the Red Sox. Interesting. Eddie Rosario is... pretty good. Going to their pitching staff, they have Jose Barris, who struggled last year, but he's overall a very good starter. Marcus Stroman, you know my take on him, but he's a decent pitcher. He's overrated. They have Edwin Diaz closing games for them, so when if they believe in the ninth inning, they're gonna win. His brother Alexis Diaz on the Reds, who throws hard like him, has similar skill set to him. Isn't quite as established, obviously, but he's on the team. You have Jorge Lopez, Emilio Pagan. Alex Claudio's not that good anymore, but he, for a competition like this, he definitely stands out. So they're pretty good. Venezuela, they love to hit. You got Salvi. Salvi's is their catcher. Omar Narvaez is backing him up. You have Luis Arias, who's from Banco. You got Altuve. Gleyber Torres is very good. Andres Gimenez is really good. William Suarez is a big power hitter. You have Eduardo Escobar. They got Luis Rengifo, Miguel Rojas. Santander. You have Acuna. Miggy's going out there. Dave Peralta to the Dodgers. It doesn't say it's slam tam. Yeah, he's very good. So Venezuela, they love to hit. They love to swing the bat. So they have a great lineup. Pitching wise, slow, shaky. Rotation not that bad. They have in the rotation. They have Luis Garcia is very good. Pablo Lopez is very good. Jesus Luzardo is emerging as starting to figure things out in Miami. Eduardo Rodriguez, if he's healthy, is pretty good. Aaron Marquez is okay. They have also Martin Perez. They got a deep rotation. Ranger Suarez in the bullpen. They got Jose Alvarado, Bruce Gratterall, Domingo Hernandez if he can ever figure things out. What? Jose Alvarado, yes, Justin, is he's a reliever on the Phillies. He is pitching for Team Venezuela. Yeah, no, I do not believe it is the Pelicans' point. I do not believe it is him. It is not going to fill all around. I apologize. There's a couple of ex-pros on this team, too. Joey Chastain was a pretty good star. Was in the Rockies for a long time. He's coming in the bullpen for them. I think that's it. I thought I saw George Vizicano ex-reliever, but it's not him. And Israel is playing in it. Their team is not that good. They do have Jock Peterson, who's a very good outfielder. He's got a lot of power. Garrett Stubbs is a batter catcher for the Phillies. They have some ex-pros. Ryan LaVarnway, who's not good, but they have him. Ty Kelly, who was on the Mets, wasn't that bad as a bench player. Danny Valencia, who was a good pro in his day. Alex Dickerson, who probably deserves to be an MLB team as a bench player. Pitching wise, you have Dean Kremer, who's actually a very good young star for the Orioles. Richard Blaird's a good reliever. You have Adam Kolarek. Problem is, their rotation is just terrible. Now let's talk about Nicaragua. And by talk about, I mean not talk about, because I don't know anybody on this team. They don't have really any pros there. The only notable pros they have are Jonathan Losango is a pretty good reliever for the Yankees. Erasmo Ramirez is a depth reliever. Everyone else is pretty much an international guy. Those are your Real Baseball Classic rosters. So, good luck to all the players, and to my Mets players that are in it, do not get injured. Thank you. Now let's talk about hockey. Scores from yesterday: Canadiens over the Oilers, 6-2. Kraken over the Flyers, 4-3. Sharks over the Capitals, 4-1. And the Golden Knights over the Ducks, 7-2. Let's go over the standings. Boston's still in first in the East. They're ahead of Carolina. New Jersey's in third. They're a point ahead. Toronto's in fourth. You got Tampa and the Rangers, same amount of point, but Tampa's got a game in hand. Then you have Washington, point ahead of Pittsburgh for 7 and 8. Islanders are a point out. Florida's 3 points out. Buffalo's 5 points out. Detroit is 7 points out, as is Philadelphia. And then Ottawa is 10 points out, and Montreal and Columbus round out the East. In the West, Dallas leads that conference. They are 2 points ahead of Vegas, who moves into second. They're starting to play a little bit better. They got to get their goalie Logan Thompson back. We got Winnipeg's in third. Seattle in fourth. Seattle, Edmonton, and the Oilers are technically all same amount of points. Seattle's a game in hand on Edmonton and the Kings. Edmonton just has one more win than the Kings. The Avalanche in seventh, who are tied with Minnesota. Avalanche got a game in hand. Calgary is 2 more games played than Colorado and 1 more game played than Minnesota. They also have 60 points along with those two teams. Nashville's 4 points out. Blues are 9 points out. And then Vancouver, San Jose, Arizona, Anaheim, and Chicago ran out the West. College basketball. Northwestern with a major upset over the top team in the country, Purdue, 64-58. Before I move on, this is a bit of a sensitive subject. I just want to put that out there. Do a little warning there. New Mexico State University, their basketball program has been shut down for the remainder of the season. They had an investigation going on. Yeah, you had a player. He actually shot and killed a player on another team, and then like the coach told a few other players who were with the guy who committed the crime to like flee, even though the police wanted to talk to him. And now there's a hazing incident that went on, very bad hazing incident. I won't go into the details because they could be a bit of a trigger warning for some people. So, but there's articles online you guys can find out about that. But very unfortunate situation going on with New Mexico State University. The entire coaching staff was already on administrative leave, and they had suspended the program indefinitely, but now it's shut down for the rest of the season. So, just wanted to let you guys know that. Big trade in the NHL. Vladimir Tarasenko goes to the Rangers. Rangers pick up Tarasenko from the Blues. They give up Sammy Blais. They give up a prospect and a first and a fourth round draft pick. I like the move. He's a little older, but still a very good player. So I'm very happy about that. He had a power play goal in his first game. Not power play goal, but he scored a goal in his first game as a Ranger. Dylan Cousins got an extension from the Sabres, 7 years, $49.7 million. For what he's done so far, he has not done really anything. No, he's not maybe worth that, but he's already got 49 points a year. Breakout year, he's already got 49 points. He's still 21 years old. That's crazy. So in a couple of years, that might be a steal. So nice contract. And our trade deadline is creeping closer. Oilers and Sharks are talking about Erik Karlsson, who's thinking them a trade by ever since he signed that huge contract. We'll see what happens there. Jakub Chychr's definitely getting traded. They're not even playing him until they trade him, so he's definitely getting traded. So he could sit for the next 2.5, 3 weeks if he has to. So we'll see what happens to the trade deadline. Let's talk about the Super Bowl. Great game. Chiefs. Congratulations to Kansas City Chiefs. They win 38-35 over the Eagles. Great game. I think Mahomes is top 10 quarterback of all time now. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champion, 2-time Super Bowl MVP, 3-time All-Pro, 2-time League MVP, single-season passing yards record. I think he is. By the way, stop blaming the refs. If you look closely, he did grab him, maybe a little ticky-tacky in a spot like that. Maybe you let him play. Also, James Bradbury, the guy who committed the penalty, came out and said that he definitely grabbed him and he was hoping they wouldn't call it. He basically, I was hoping they wouldn't catch him, but they did. And he was like, So stop blaming the refs. Okay, that's ridiculous. That's stupid and ridiculous. But great game. Yeah, Justin said you gave Mahomes 5 minutes to get 1 score. Why do you think it's going to happen? What do you think was going to happen? Okay, so I'm not sure if you guys know if you follow me on Twitter, but Justin is notorious for just calling plays like right before they happen. Plays, things that happen in real life. And he said before me, the spokes canes for the MMMs, of course, were replaced by Maya Rudolph because of some, snowflake or complaint or something. Said they're coming back. And, of course, they did it in the commercial. So, he called that one of the main things he's called. I don't know how he does it. He wants to be a TD guy. I said he should be an analyst because if he's calling these things, he can make some serious money. But he's going to be rich being a TD guy anyway. But yeah, so great game. Stop blaming the refs. It was a great game. But why is Nick Sirianni crying during the national anthem? That's happening. Me and Justin and a bunch of our friends were watching in my apartment. We're like, why is he crying? My mom text me, "Hi, Mom." She texted me, "Why are you always players crying?" I'm like, I don't know. Why are you crying? It's national anthem. Why? I don't understand. But great game. Halftime show. Mixed reviews. Some people loved it. Some people didn't like it. Some people thought it was horrible. Okay, yes, Rihanna was lip-syncing for a bunch of her songs, but her big songs, Run This Town, Umbrella, those big songs, she did sing those songs at least. And also, the woman is pregnant. She's doing that pregnant. So why is she moving around? I don't know, because she's pregnant. She's literally pregnant doing that. She's up on this giant thing. I'm getting anxiety just looking at her on my TV. And she did that. I think it's very impressive. I thought it was a solid halftime show. Not the best ever. Like last year's one of the best ever. They killed it last year with Dre and all of them. But it wasn't like The Weeknd or Adam Levine. Not the worst ever. And usually they have like a band and a singles person and a single artist. Last year they had like 5 different people. And it was just her. The woman's doing it pregnant. I know everyone wants to see Rihanna and wants to see shake her backside and everything, but like the woman's pregnant. She just said I want to see her shake her backside. Yes, I was looking forward to that. That's definitely her biggest asset, if you know what I mean. But considering one, she hadn't performed in 4 years. She hasn't made an album in 6 years. She hasn't performed in 4 years. And now her first performance in 4 years is the Super Bowl halftime show. She's pregnant. She didn't have any, other people doing it with her. Overall, I thought it was pretty good. Like, you gotta love Rihanna. By the way, I did not know A$AP Rocky was married to her. That shows you how much I know about pop culture. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Gotta love Rihanna. By the way, just so you, I want to apologize to Rihanna fans. She's never making another album. She hasn't made one in 60 years. Now she's pregnant again for her second child. We're not getting another Rihanna album. Maybe that's what Nick Young was crying about. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Commercials, I thought the commercials overall were kind of mid. Kudos to Burger King for not doing their stupid commercial till after the game, and the one after the game was actually pretty funny. The Breaking Bad one was funny. The Mets commercial was okay. The Doritos one was pretty funny. They had a couple of funny ones. Overall, they weren't as good as they usually were. I thought they were better. They were better last year when they had the Sopranos one. Yeah, they had a lot of good ones. They had a bunch of movie previews. They did one for the new Ant-Man. They did one for the new Fast and Furious, which. Can they stop making Fast and Furious movies, please? Can Vin Diesel go away? Just go away. Go away! Shut up, Vin Diesel. Oh my god. I love John Cena, but also Jason Momoa is the villain. I don't know. I mean, I love me some Jason Momoa. But stop making them. This better be the last one. The 10th freaking movie. Great franchise, but it just stop. Just stop. They had the preview. Why is the Flash coming out? Who let that come out? Who let the Flash come out? Why is Ezra Miller not in prison? Can someone explain that to me? No, Batman's in it. Some people think it's Michael Keaton. Some people think it's Ben Affleck. Some people think it's Christian Bale. Why? I don't know. I think it looks mid as crap. Why is I didn't understand. It does not look that good, if you ask me. I know some people think it looks good. Always mysteries. Who's playing the Batman? What's going on? I don't know. I'm not a fan. I don't know why. I've tweeted some very aggressive things at James Gunn over the last 2 weeks. I don't like him. He annoys the crap out of me. Anyway, by the way, the Eagles signed Vic Fangio, who just agreed to be the defensive coordinator of the Dolphins, to a 2-week contract to help them prepare for the Super Bowl. Why? Is that legal? I don't know. Just wanted to put that out there. By the way, Lamar Jackson is going to be franchise tagged by the Ravens, and they can't work on a long-term deal. They could trade him, so that's going to be very interesting. The Colts are expected to name Shane Steichen their head coach. They're informing their candidates that they're out of it. So we'll see what happens over the next couple of days, maybe even next 24 hours, but that's who it looks like they're zeroing in on. Arizona said they were waiting until after the Super Bowl, so we don't know for sure. These are the candidates. They're looking at. Obviously, Flores is off the board. They have a bunch of guys are off the board, but they're looking at Aaron Glenn, the Lions defensive coordinator. I believe it's him. The Bengals corner, Lou Anarumo and Brian Callahan. They have a bunch of guys they didn't get. Brian Flores, he took the defensive coordinator job in Minnesota. That wasn't a good fit anyway. Sean Payton didn't. JV said, I want to coach Kyler. Of course, he goes to Denver. Demeco Ryans took the head job in Houston. Obviously they were never going to hire Vance Joseph. Ajuro Ivero just became the D coordinator, and I forget, but he became D coordinator. Dan Quinn decided to go back to Dallas. So, and that's not a good job. Kyler Murray is really not a. Oh, and by the way, Arizona actually just requested permission to interview Jonathan Gannon, the Eagles' defensive coordinator. So we'll see where that goes. So Kyler's a man-child. That's not head coach doesn't want to deal with them. The team is not good. They got no offensive line. They got no defense. They have a high pick, but from a coach, they might want to draft his replacement, and obviously, the team might not want that. And they brought in a new GM, so it's kind of a messy thing there. So, and the corner carousel still going on. By the way, the Jets hired Todd Downing, the ex-Titans offensive corner, as their passing corner. I don't know what Saleh's doing with his offensive staff. He's bringing him to Hackett as his OC, which basically forces Joe Douglas to go out and get Aaron Rodgers. Now he brings in Todd Downing as their passing coordinator. I don't know. Don't know how I feel about Saleh's staff so far. Ravens still looking for a new offensive coordinator. They interviewed the Seahawks quarterback coach Dave Canales. He got 2 interviews. The team likes Eric Bieniemy, but I don't think there's not a ton of traction there. Brian Angelico, the Vikings tight ends coach, has gotten 2 interviews. They interviewed a bunch of guys: Brian Leftwich, Brian Johnson, Eagles quarterbacks coach. Tom Monken, the offensive coordinator for Georgia, who once at one point was the OC in Tampa, got a second interview. Former Broncos OC Justin Newton got a second interview. And they've interviewed a bunch of other guys, so those are probably the finalists right there. Carolina's offensive corner search hasn't gotten too far off the ground. The favorite now appears to be Rams tight ends coach Thomas Brown, who's a hot name for offensive coordinator, even head coach to an extent. He's the only guy to get 2 interviews. Denver's going to interview the Saints quarterback coach Ronald Curry for offensive coordinator. The Texans hired the 49ers passing coordinator Bobby Slovic as offensive coordinator. Of course, Demeco Ryans knows him from their time in San Francisco together. So, they interviewed Cliff Kingsbury for the job. How did they get in contact with him? I assume it was over Zoom. Because he's in Thailand, he ain't in America. I mean, he's getting like $5 million a year for the next 5 years. I mean, I don't blame Cliff. If I was getting paid $5 million if I had $20 million come my way to do nothing, I wouldn't be in this country. Goodbye. You wouldn't hear from me either. Well, you wouldn't hear a peep out of me. You wouldn't hear a single word out of me until I stopped getting paid, and then I would come back and I would coach again. Bucs are looking for a new offensive coordinator. They're going to interview Seahawks quarterbacks coach Dave Canales. Thomas Brown got a second interview. Dan Pitcher's out of the race. The Bengals quarterbacks coach. They interviewed him, then the Bengals gave him an extension. Then he got a second interview, which he did. But now he decided to stay with the Bengals. So we'll see what happens there. The Titans promoted their passing coordinator Tim Kelly to offensive coordinator, and then they named the Falcons quarterbacks coach Charles London, who interviewed for the OC. They made him their quarterbacks coach. On the defensive side of the ball, Carolina brought in Ajuro Ivero. I couldn't remember where he went. That's where he goes. He goes to Carolina to be their D coordinator. Denver's still looking for a defensive coordinator. They interviewed Sean Desai, the defensive assistant in Seattle, was D coordinator in Chicago for 2 seasons. They interviewed Rex Ryan, former head coach with the Jets and the Bills, who's an ESPN analyst. Okay, people say everything about Rex Ryan. I thought he's not a great head coach. I don't think he was horrendous. I mean, he did take Mark Sanchez to the AFC Championship twice. But I think he's a good defensive coordinator. I think as defensive coordinator, he could work. He was a very good defensive coordinator with the Ravens. He knows defense better than pretty much anybody on this planet. Rex Ryan was interviewed for the defensive coordinator job in Denver, Justin. Just said director of the lights, that fancy footwork. That was pretty good. I'll tip my cap to you there. Texans hired Cardinals defensive line coach Matt Burke as the coordinator. Now, he was defensive coordinator for 2 years in Miami. The defenses under him weren't that good. Their head coach was also Adam Gase, so the offense obviously was probably scoring 8 points a game. So I think there's a second shot. We'll see what happens. I'm sure DeMeco Ryans will have a lot of say. He'll be running DeMeco Ryans' defense anyway. And yeah, Vikings got Flores, Dolphins got Vic Fangio. Saints hired Joe Woods. I don't know how I feel about that. The 49ers hired Steve Wilks as the coordinator, and that is the coaching carousel. Now let's talk about the buyout market. I know just on Friday talked about some trades. I'm going to go deeper into that tomorrow. But for the buyout market, which is looking very robust. Danny Green got bought out by Houston after he got traded there. He signed in Cleveland on a 1-year deal. You got Terrence Ross got bought out by Orlando. He goes to the Dallas Mavericks, and Reggie Jackson, who got traded to Charlotte by the Clippers, he got bought out by Charlotte. He signed with the Denver. No, excuse me, Terrence Ross, I stand corrected, went to the Suns. Reggie Jackson signed with Denver. Danny Green goes to the Cavs. Bunch of other guys who were on the market. John Wall has been bought out by Houston. We'll see where he goes. Russ, it's not been bought out yet by Utah, and Utah said that both sides could keep him. We'll see what happens. Pat Bev got bought out by Orlando after getting traded there in the Mo Bamba deal. Will Barton got bought out by Washington. Serge Ibaka looks like he might get bought out. Dwayne Dedmon, I believe got bought out. Miami sent him to was it Houston maybe? I forgot what the. Oh, thank you, Justin. He got to San Antonio. So basically, San Antonio, they took the extra pick and bought out Dedmon. That might be the most boring trade ever. Dedmon, who gets bought out in the second rounder for cash. So he took like $10 for like a second round pick, and they bought out Dedmon. That doesn't tell me that he's a Heat fan. Derrick Rose, Knicks I think are thinking about buying him out. They couldn't get a trade. And I heard Nerlens Noel could get bought out by Detroit. He can be a good backup center. So buyout market's a lot deeper than it usually is. We shall see what happens. Only other thing I got is I'm gonna hold off from doing a podcast on Thursdays. That's been Thursday's kind of a busy day for me, so I'm not gonna do a show on Thursdays for now. Maybe in a month or two I'd pick up with that, but for now, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it will be just me. Most Fridays, it will be Justin and I, but definitely me. And by the way, for the WWE, I just want to let you guys know the original plan was Rock versus Roman, but I think something happened there, so that's why it's Rock versus Cody. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you, Justin, for your help in the studio. It's always appreciated. What's that, Justin? Oh, Justin, thanks, Justin. That reminds me, the 2-week commercial. Was anyone else freaking out? So like I had the remote like on the chair, like the arm of my couch. I thought I hit a button. I was like, oh no, I'm gonna miss the game. That was pretty clever. Tubi trolled all of us. I'm sure everyone thought their dog sat on the remote or something. Justin just said she think called his a mother-in-law bitch. She thought she changed the channel. Oh lord, that marriage might be on thin ice now. Oh boy. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you, Justin, again. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.